Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. I thank you for joining me today for an important announcement and a series of announcements about Internet access in New York State. I am pleased to be joined by some advocates for fair Internet access, particularly Chuck Bell of Consumers Union, who's here with me today. And in the audience, we also have Christine Carr of Computers for Children. As many of you are aware, if not all of you are aware, reliable Internet access is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Millions of New York families rely on dependable Internet service so that they can work from home, stream videos, connect with their relatives and their broader community. And many New York families are willing to pay a premium to ensure that they get the reliable service that they need. As the state's largest supplier of Internet service, over the last decade, Time Warner Cable has become a dominant force in New York's Internet industry. Time Warner Cable, which was recently purchased by Charter Communications and is in the process of rebranding as Spectrum, has more than 570,000 subscribers here in Western New York alone. But as I announced yesterday, my office has filed suit against Spectrum Time Warner for conducting a deliberate scheme to defraud and mislead New Yorkers by promising Internet service they knew they could not deliver. The company earns more than $1 billion a year in revenue by selling residential Internet access to about 2.5 million New York households statewide. And that's more than 1 in 3 of all New Yorkers who pay for Internet access. The allegations in our lawsuit confirm what millions of New Yorkers have long suspected. Spectrum Time Warner has been ripping you off. The company built its multi-million-dollar ad campaigns around promises of fast and reliable service, but the reality is that their Internet service was neither fast nor reliable. We've undertaken a careful analysis of internal corporate communications and looked at tens of thousands of customer tests of Internet speeds that demonstrated that Spectrum Time Warner subscribers were getting dramatically shortchanged. My office looked into thousands of complaints from New York subscribers, including more than 300 here in Western New York. The complaints were consistent and troubling, mostly about slow speeds, lack of reliability, disruptions in service. It is a consistent story of bad performance and a long-term business plan built on deceit. So our complaint quotes extensively from internal corporate emails showing that the company executives knew that their Internet service was often far slower than promised and that many subscribers would never experience the speeds they were paying for. One Buffalo customer, Krista, wrote to my office to say that, quote, "I am so very frustrated with the lack of service I have. Time Warner Cable claims I can stream video on 2 devices with the level of service I pay for, yet I struggle to stream video from 1 device at a time without frequent interruptions. My picture quality is terrible," close quote. Krista had been paying for a 50 megabit per second Internet service, but when she tested her Internet speed on a portal created by my office on our website, she found that she was often getting less than 1 megabit per second. As we allege in the complaint, tens of thousands of Internet speed results show that her experience was far from unique. Spectrum Time Warner consistently failed to fulfill its promises to its subscribers. Many subscribers were getting speeds as much as 70 or 80% lower than promised. As we allege, these shockingly slow speeds are the result of a calculated corporate strategy. The relevant period we looked at was from early 2012 to the present, and the internal emails we looked at during that period showed that Spectrum Time Warner executives repeatedly refused to spend money on their networks, knowing they were overloading those networks and that as a result they were delivering subpar service that didn't meet the levels that they had promised consumers. Internal emails also show that executives knew that the hardware they were leasing to subscribers was technologically incapable of delivering the speeds those subscribers were paying for. For example, the company's own engineers warned as far back as 2013 that the outdated modems that Spectrum Time Warner had leased to its subscribers simply could not provide Internet service as fast as they were promising consumers. Yet the company had the audacity to charge those subscribers $10 a month to lease the subpar modems that the company knew could not deliver the service they were promising their subscribers. and those fees added up. Between May 2012 and February 2016, New York subscribers paid Spectrum-Time Warner $600 million in modem lease fees alone. Well, it was only a matter of time before subscribers caught on, and the subscribers did start to complain. But as each of you know, when you have a problem with internet in your home, we tend to first think it's a problem specific to us. You turn on and off your devices, consider maybe that something's wrong with the neighbors, and have no way of knowing that everyone else in your subscriber group, because we're all in subscriber groups, was suffering the same problems at the same time. We've put that together by looking at the speed test, by looking at the internal emails, and it is clear that the company knew that it could have solved a lot of these problems by simply upgrading subscribers' hardware. Giving subscribers faster modems and routers could have helped the company live up to its promises, and that was the solution suggested by the company's own engineers. But the engineers were overruled by higher-ups who said the solution would be too costly. At the same time, Spectrum-Time Warner was aggressively and deceptively pushing more and more speed at higher and higher prices to its subscribers as the purported solution to the service delivery issues caused by Spectrum-Time Warner's own malfeasance. So they knew they were delivering slower speeds. They knew they could have fixed it, but declined to do so they could make more money. And they kept marketing to consumers, you need to pay more for higher speeds to solve the problems that we actually know we're causing. One of the company's own customer service reps objected to giving subscribers such a hard sell, and we have the quote here. The rep said, "This is a hustler's job. We're trying to out-hustle everyone else, trying to make the most money we can and not doing the right thing. By operating like this, customers laugh at our integrity as a company." So, ladies and gentlemen, the results of our investigation make it clear that consumers need to be on the lookout when they're choosing their internet provider and need to be demanding of their internet provider if you're not getting the service that you're paying for. That's why today we're releasing a new consumer alert to let New Yorkers know what to look for when they're shopping for internet service. Our alert suggests that consumers ask 3 key questions. How much speed do you really need? What equipment do you need? And how much speed are you actually getting? The first thing you should do is think about how you'll be using the internet. To work properly, different websites and apps require different minimum speeds. For example, Netflix recommends you have at least a 5 megabit per second connection to watch movies in high definition. And to play video games on Xbox Live, you should have a 3 megabit per second speed. So if you're going to be streaming a lot of video, you may need a faster connection. But if you mostly use your home internet to check email and the news, you probably don't need to spend so much on a high-cost, high-speed connection. The alert also reminds consumers that your internet service is split among all the devices in your home. So if you have, say, 4 devices streaming Netflix at the same time, you need 20 megabits per second service just to make sure you have a reliable connection for that streaming on those devices. And as we point out in our complaint, in addition to the problems with hardware, Spectrum-Time Warner misrepresented that their wireless service was going to be just as fast and just as reliable as their wired service. Those representations were consistently undercut by their own internal documentation and by speed tests. Wi-Fi speeds are always slower than wired speeds, and they can get much slower depending on how many other devices are being used and other sources of interference. Most of us use Wi-Fi in our own homes, so it's important to keep those slower speeds in mind when choosing a plan. The alert also reminds consumers to make sure that they have the right equipment for connecting to the internet. One of the most important findings in our investigation was that many subscribers were experiencing very slow speeds because the company had leased them severely outdated modems that made it impossible to achieve the speed they were promised. You can contact the company, and they did make a commitment to replace outdated modems, but they put the burden on the consumer to take that step. But consumers should check with their internet providers, make sure their modem and router are fast enough to deliver the promised speeds, and demand the most up-to-date equipment. And finally, don't just take the internet provider's word for it, test the speed for yourself. There are a number of independent internet speed testing sites like internethealthtest.org and speedtest.net. If the speed you measure on those sites is not the speed you're paying for, call your internet service provider to find out why. Sometimes it's an easy fix, sometimes it's not. And if you're not satisfied with the answer, contact my office and let us know. On our OAG website, our Bureau of Internet and Technology has complaint forms. We've received a flood of comments and requests since we have announced this investigation, and we want to make sure that every Internet subscriber is getting what they paid for. The Internet is a vital service for millions of New York families, and quite simply, it's against the law, and we're going to strongly enforce the law. It's against the law to lie to people. It's against the law to commit fraud. It's against the law to tell subscribers you're getting one speed when they know you're not going to be getting that speed. You can't promise one thing and deliver another. So my office is committed to making sure that everyone plays by the same set of rules. People don't take advantage of those in a weaker position than themselves. The consumer alert we released today should go a long way to giving consumers the tools they need to protect themselves. My office will continue to pursue this issue. Please, I urge everyone to get in contact through our website if you are experiencing these problems, and we look forward to pursuing this case and getting relief for the New Yorkers that were harmed by this corporate strategy of deceptive conduct. And now I want to introduce a great partner in efforts to protect consumers, Chuck Bell from Consumers Union. Chuck.
So I'm with Consumers Union. We're the policy and action arm of Consumer Reports. We're a national consumer organization based in Yonkers, New York. New York consumers care deeply about the cost and quality of their broadband internet service. And in the 21st century, broadband internet is an essential telecommunications service that New Yorkers rely on to be informed citizens, to advance their knowledge and learning, to keep in touch with family members, to pay bills and arrange for health care, to name just a few vital uses. Consumers Union asked our New York State members about the quality of their internet service last year, and over 650 people responded quickly by taking a broadband speed test and sending the results to the Attorney General. We heard from people all over the state, many with specific complaints about their internet providers, including Time Warner. We heard from Angel in Buffalo, who said, "Our internet speed is not at the maximum the company tells us to be. We experience significant slowdowns during peak periods when uploading and downloading drop to a crawl." Alice from Cobleskill said, "My internet speed is ridiculous. It takes a long time to do anything, including load a page, send an email, and do a search. I don't understand why this service is so expensive." And Meredith from New York City said, "My internet service is awful. It would be better powered by a hamster on wheels." And Meredith also said, "I keep hearing statistics on how $50 being the norm for cable internet. Mine's almost $80 a month. And I think people in New York know if you have triple play cable internet and phone service, it starts at $90 and goes up. And for those of us who have it, it's a significant expense. And if you're renting a modem for $10 a month, that's a significant expense. So the bottom line for us is that consumers deserve to get the broadband speeds that they are paying for and that are promoted in marketing claims and company advertising. So we're extremely pleased that Attorney General Schneiderman and his staff are fighting for consumers on this issue by investigating consumer complaints and holding internet providers accountable for what they promise. Thank you for providing this oversight and helping the marketplace to work better.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to talk further about this. The complaint is available. It is a very substantial document. When I'm saying we looked at their internal documents and quote extensively from them, I'm not kidding. This is something where the proof is overwhelming that they knew they were deceiving the public. They knew what the fixes were. Their own engineers were proposing them. They refused to take the action. So I'm very proud of the work our team did on this. Look forward to pursuing this and getting restitution for New Yorkers and getting the company to live up to its commitments.